Welcome to Coffee Commerce. My name is Sean Ramett and I'm the grandson of a coffee farmer from Guyana, South America. Here on Coffee Commerce we talk about the stories behind coffee. And we've been talking about coffee houses in England. Coffee houses were places of great debate and discussion. Even politicians would often avoid going to coffee houses in case they were challenged or ridiculed or criticized. In addition to debates and discussions, coffee houses were a place to conduct business. This is the fascinating story of Edward Lloyd. Lloyd was believed to be a Welshman. He arrived in London in his early 30s, sometime around 1680, likely from Canterbury. Within 8 years, Edward Lloyd would open his first coffee house on Tower Street, down from the Tower of London, called Lloyd'S Coffeehouse, around the age of 41. In London at this time, there were at least 80 coffee houses, each one a hub of entrepreneurs, merchants, ideas, thoughts, different special interests, even the courts. Lloyd's was a busy coffee house with a focus on business clientele. There's even a newspaper article from London Gazette from someone who had 5 watches stolen from their apartment. The article indicated that the owner wanted his possessions returned to him promptly at Lloyd's Coffee House, since this was a place where he spent a fair bit of time. In 1691, Lloyd moved his coffee house to 16 Lombard Street, across from the Royal Exchange, in the heart of the Merchants' Quarter. As mentioned before, each coffee house had its own unique identity based on location, patrons, and what the owner wanted to focus on to make it a distinct coffee venue. This happens when Edward Lloyd moves from Tower Street to Lombard Street. It would be here that the patrons shifted to those in the shipping industry. In fact, Lloyd's Coffee House would become the hub for those in the marine industry. Lloyd employed 3 men and 2 women to dispense the coffee, tea, sherbet, fruit punch, and saw that the regulars had pens, ink, and paper. Lloyd's also hosted auctions from ship's cargo called candle auctions, a fast-paced business where bidding on ship's cargo began with the stub of a candle was lit. The successful bid was the last before the candle guttered. So if you were involved in the marine shipping industry, it would be Lloyd's Coffee House that you would end up going to either frequent or you were going to be there for a specific meeting. Lloyd's was the fast attracting all those concerned with the shipping industry and fostered the interest of holding marine meetings and all sorts of collateral intelligence from the marine industry. Seizing the opportunity with the shipping clientele, Lloyd's made sure that the shipping news was readily available to his patrons and provided them at their table. At some point, Lloyd's also created his own newspaper 3 times per week. Lloyd understood the key importance of information to his coffee business. He went out of his way to gather information, publish a regular sheet of intelligence on ships, cargo, world events, and established a network of correspondents in ports across Europe. Lloyd's Coffee House was flourishing at the turn of the 18th century, and Edward Lloyd himself became very respected in his community. He was an active parishioner and even became the church warden. He was twice nominated to become Common Councillor for the City Corporation. One of the interesting things about Lloyd's Coffee House, as well as other coffee houses in that day, was that not only was it a place to enjoy a cup of hot beverage, but it also was a place where businessmen would use as their office. The concept of a business office was not as common or affordable as it is today. Mail would actually be delivered to the coffee house for business people. It would be in this backdrop that we would see Lloyd's Coffee House not so much influence politics, education, or a place of debate. Instead, Lloyd's would influence business in general. This influence is still part of how we function in society today, in part thanks to Lloyd's. But that's another story for another cup of coffee. Thank you.